You're barefoot, halfway up a cliff. There's no rope holding you except one you braided yourself out of vines and grass, and it's swaying. Below you is a drop that would kill you instantly. Above you, in a crack in the rock, is the thing you came for, and around that crack is a living, buzzing, furious cloud of tens of thousands of bees, and they have all just noticed you. You have no gloves, no suit, no protection of any kind. You are completely naked, dangling over death, about to plunge your bare hand into a swarm that can sting you hundreds of times, and you are doing this on purpose, for one reason: sugar. This isn't a nightmare, this is a job. It was one of the most dangerous things ancient humans ever did. They did it again and again for thousands of years, and we have the paintings to prove it. So the question is, why? Why would a human being risk an agonizing death over and over just for honey? Today, honey is a thing you squeeze out of a plastic bear, an afterthought, a topping. But to ancient humans, honey was something else entirely. It was so valuable, so irreplaceable, that people were willing to climb sheer cliffs, hang over fatal drops, and endure a storm of stings to get it. This wasn't occasional, it wasn't rare. It was a recurring, organized, deadly serious activity practiced across the entire planet, in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, by people who had no idea the others existed. And the truth behind why reveals something fundamental about your own body, about a strange partnership with a wild animal, and about why your brain is screaming for sugar right now. Here's the thing nobody tells you. We think of ancient humans as struggling for survival, fighting for every scrap of meat and root. And they were. But hidden inside that struggle was a craving so powerful it overrode the fear of death itself, the craving for sweetness. And to satisfy it, our ancestors didn't just stumble onto honey by accident. They developed techniques, tools, and even a working relationship with a wild bird to hunt it down. So let's climb up there with them and find out exactly how they did it, and why their bodies, and yours, were practically built to take this insane risk. Let's start with the proof, because it's stunning. In a cave in eastern Spain, called the Cuevas de la Araña, the Spider Caves, there's a painting, roughly 8,000 years old. It's called the Man of Bicorp, and it shows, in clear detail, a human figure climbing a long rope or ladder up a cliff face, one hand reaching into a wild bee's nest, the other holding a basket to collect the honeycomb, completely surrounded by bees, painted as a swarm of dots to show the danger. This isn't a myth or a guess. It's a photograph from prehistory. 8,000 years ago, someone watched this happen, or did it themselves, and thought it was important enough to paint on a wall, where it has survived to this very day. So why was it worth it? Here's the part that connects to your own body. For almost all of human history, concentrated sweetness barely existed in nature. There were no candy bars, no sugarcane fields, no fruit available year-round. Honey was the single richest, most calorie-dense, most energy-packed food a hunter-gatherer could find. Pure, instant fuel, in a world where calories meant survival. Your brain runs on glucose, and it evolved in a world where sugar was extremely rare and extremely valuable. So evolution wired us to crave it intensely, because finding sugar could mean the difference between living and starving. That craving you feel for sweets right now, it's not a weakness. It's an ancient survival instinct, screaming at you to grab the rarest, most precious fuel your ancestors ever knew. Honey was so prized that some modern hunter-gatherer groups, like the Hadza of Tanzania, still get a remarkable share of their calories from it. To these people, honey isn't a treat. It's a staple worth risking everything for. Now here's the part that sounds completely made up, but is 100% real. Ancient humans had help finding the honey from a wild bird. There's a species in Africa called the greater honey guide. And this bird does something almost no other wild animal on Earth does. It deliberately leads humans to bees' nests. When the bird wants to guide a person, it flies up, chatters in a special call, and flits from tree to tree, waiting for the human to follow, literally showing them the way to a hidden hive. Why would it do this? Because the bird can find the nests, but it can't break them open. The bees and the tough wax are too much for it. The human can crack the nest open, but often can't find it, so they cooperate. The human gets the honey. The bird gets the leftover beeswax and grubs, which it loves to eat. It's a genuine partnership between a human and a wild animal, and here's the chilling part. Scientists believe this relationship may be over 1 million years old, possibly older than our own species. In some parts of Africa, people still use special calls today, and the wild birds still answer, a conversation between human and bird that has echoed across hundreds of thousands of years. But finding the nest is only half the battle. You still have to survive taking it. And ancient humans were ingenious about this. Their single greatest weapon was fire, specifically smoke. At some point, humans discovered that smoke calms bees and masks the alarm signals they send each other, making the swarm sluggish and far less aggressive. So honey hunters would light smoking torches or bundles and use the smoke to pacify the hive before reaching in. They built rope ladders from vines and bark, fashioned long poles and sticks to pry open rock crevices and hollow trees, and used baskets and gourds to carry the dripping comb back down. This was not random bravery. It was skilled, practiced, dangerous work, passed down from one generation to the next. And here's what makes this story hit even harder. This isn't ancient history at all. People are still doing this, right now, almost exactly the way it was done thousands of years ago. High in the foothills of the Himalayas in Nepal, the Gurung people perform honey hunts twice a year. They climb rope ladders hundreds of feet up sheer cliffs to reach the nests of the world's largest honeybee, a bee whose nests can hang like giant curtains from the rock. With minimal protection, dangling over a deadly drop, surrounded by thousands of angry bees, they cut down the comb with long poles while hanging in midair. People have died doing this, and they keep doing it, because the honey is that valuable, and because it's who they are. When you watch a honey hunt today, you are watching a living window into something our species has done for over 8,000 years. But here's the layer that makes this more than just a wild story. This dangerous obsession with honey may have changed our species. That intense craving for sweetness drove us to seek out high-energy food, and some scientists think this hunger for calorie-rich foods, including honey, helped fuel the growth of the most expensive organ we have, the human brain. And eventually, humans got tired of risking their lives. They started bringing the bees closer, keeping them in hollow logs, clay pots, and woven baskets near their homes. That shift, from hunting wild bees to keeping them, was the birth of beekeeping, one of humanity's oldest relationships with an insect, going back thousands of years to ancient Egypt and beyond. The terrifying climb up the cliff was the first chapter in a story that leads all the way to the jar of honey sitting in your kitchen right now. And there's a quieter, sadder side to this story. That ancient partnership with the honey guide bird, one of the most remarkable relationships between a human and a wild animal that has ever existed, is fading. As people switch to store-bought sugar and modern food, fewer and fewer humans answer the bird's call. In many places, the tradition is dying, and with it, a conversation between two species that took more than 1,000,000 years to build is going silent. A bird still flies up in the African bush, still chatters its ancient invitation, still waits for a human to follow, and increasingly, no one comes. We are, without quite noticing, ending a friendship older than humanity itself. The same craving that once drove us up deadly cliffs is now satisfied by a plastic bottle, and something wild and astonishing is being lost in the trade. So how did ancient humans steal honey from killer bees? With fire, with courage, with handmade ropes, with the help of a wild bird, and with a hunger so deep it was written into their very biology. They climbed, they burned, they bled, and they got stung, again and again, because that golden, dripping sweetness was one of the most precious things in their entire world. The next time you taste honey, understand what you're tasting. You're tasting the single most dangerous craving in human history. You're tasting thousands of years of people risking everything, dangling over cliffs, reaching into swarms, for a flavor your body was built to chase. That sweetness on your tongue is ancient, and so is the part of you that loves it. So the next time you drizzle honey onto something, or feel that sudden, almost desperate craving for something sweet, don't dismiss it. Remember the figure on the cave wall, naked, dangling, surrounded by a cloud of bees, reaching into the rock for the same thing you're reaching into the cupboard for. Remember the bird, still calling in the African bush, waiting for someone to follow. That craving in you is not new. It's the oldest hunger you have, the one that sent your ancestors up the cliff and into the swarm. They risked their lives for one taste of what you can have anytime you want. So maybe savor it. You're tasting the thing humans were once willing to die for.